Hello, everybody. Welcome to Allies and Advocates. I'm Sarah Hastings, she, her pronouns, and I'm Equality Ohio's Development Director. We're so excited to have all of you here tonight to celebrate the actions, courage, and advocacy of so many individuals and organizations around the state. This event wraps up my first year at Equality Ohio, and this is my first Allies and Advocate. So thank you all for your patience as I planned and worked through this as a first-time employee having this experience. You know, when I think about why I work in nonprofit, it truly is the generic answer. I want to make the world a better place. And over my 20-year career, I've done countless speeches like this, welcoming people to events and saying thank you. Today feels different. I've watched the videos you're going to see, and I'm choking up thinking about them. They're beautiful. There's one video in particular that you will see that every time I see it, I know exactly when I'm going to start crying, and I know the exact point where I'm going to start crying harder. And you know, the other thing that makes today really, really special is my sister's here tonight. She's right over there. And I don't want to brag, but between the two of us, we have created the world's coolest 5 little humans. And one of them is here, and that's my son, Timmy, who's going to be very frustrated I pointed him out. But I am so proud to have him here tonight. And when I consider him, my other 2 kids, and my niece and nephew, I have never been more proud or committed to working in nonprofit. And I have never been more proud or committed to leaving this world a better place than I found it. And that, my friends, is the gay agenda. It is my distinct pleasure now to welcome to the stage board chairs Joseph Wenger and Amanda Everett.
Welcome, everyone. I am Joseph Wenger, he, him pronouns. I am proud to be the chair of our C3 board, the Equality Ohio Education Fund.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Everett. I use she, her pronouns, and I am extraordinarily proud to be the board chair of Equality Ohio's C Ford arm of the board.
And it is our distinct pleasure to welcome you all here tonight. Thank you for being a part of this event where we are going to be honoring the people, our awardees, who are, through their work, transforming Ohio, bringing into being a better place for all of us. And I'd like to take a moment, if I could, this is a board chair prerogative, so forgive me. I'd like to just take a moment, if we could all thank the staff. Without them, this work couldn't be possible, please. Now, you've been seeing throughout the night the screens with our host committee. If we could just, again, sorry, you're gonna get a lot of applause lines here. Just bear with us. Applaud our host committee members, everyone. Thank you for being here.
And it is my distinct pleasure to take a minute to thank our corporate sponsors. As the director of an economic development organization, I truly know the power of business leaders coming together to make a community inclusive. These businesses are coupling resources to their values of equity and LGBTQ+ inclusion. So please look at your screens. We would like to thank our presenting sponsor, Eaton. Our advocate sponsor, the law firm of Tittle and Perlmutter. Champion sponsors, AIDS Healthcare Foundation and Cleveland State University College of Law. We would also like to thank our partner sponsors, Nationwide, CHW Advisors, and the Human Rights Campaign. As well as our cultivator sponsors, Cupcake Vineyards, Ernst & Young, and the law firm of Thompson Hine. We would also like to thank our sustainer sponsors, the Center for Community Solutions, Wedding in a Box, Cardinal Health, you can give a whoop for these things, Squire Patton Boggs, Reminger Law Foundation, Cincinnati Cyclones, and the Law Office of Rob Chalupka. And finally, thanks to our builder sponsors, the Chandra Law Firm, LGBTQ and Allies of Lake County, Frost Brown Todd, the LGBT Legacy Project, Social Justice Advocacy Ministry, and the Masucci Law Group. Thank you to all of these amazing businesses who made tonight, and more importantly, make the work possible. We couldn't do it without you. And now, let's take a look at our presenting sponsor, Eaton, through this short commercial.
I celebrate Pride as an acknowledgement of how far the community has come, but also as a reminder of what still needs to be accomplished: lived and legal equality for all.
We can't help but love who we want to love. Remember, love is transcendent.
I celebrate Pride to showcase what we have done and can do as a community.
Because love never fails. #Pride.
To give thanks to a community that's always let me feel like it's safe to be who I am.
Celebrating Pride brings me together with the entire LGBT family to create feelings of support, belonging, and love.
Help remind the little kid still inside me that it's okay to be yourself. You don't have to hide anymore.
I am celebrating Pride because it's about sexual diversity with a focus on equal rights and positive self-affirmation.
I celebrate Pride because of our persistence in fighting for equality.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Thank you so much to Eaton for all of their continuous support. Again, we could not do what we do without them. Joseph?
Thanks, Amanda. So it's not a secret that these are some difficult times here in Ohio and in our movement across the United States and indeed across the world. But our history gives us hope. Equality Ohio was born out of a backlash in 2004. And we know that when LGBTQ plus Ohioans stand together with our strength, with our joy, and yes, with our love, we bring into being a better world. Together, we're creating an Ohio where we're welcomed, affirmed, and flourishing to our fullest potential. And now, to hear just a little bit more about exactly what is going on in our State House, I'll turn it over to Maria Bruno, our Public Policy Director.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Bruno. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns, and as you just heard, I'm the Public Policy Director here at Equality Ohio. I see a lot of familiar faces in this room, and in fact, many of these faces are faces that I've gotten to know very well, actually literally at the State House these past few years. It has truly been an honor to fight alongside you. It's our job at Equality Ohio to equip this community, the people in this room, and also the nearly 500,000 LGBTQ people that live in this state, with information, training, and tools to effectively advocate for ourselves and for others. It's been a long road for us. I know many are feeling exasperated and worn out, me too, but I also know that we've been incredibly effective in holding the line, and even building on the bipartisan support for our community and our issues in a political climate in which that feels nearly impossible. And we also make sure to celebrate the elected officials going to bat for us every single day at the State House and at the federal level and at the local level. We've got a few in the room tonight. Please join me in welcoming Senator Nikki Antonio. Senator Kent Smith. State School Board Member Merle Johnson. And former Councilman Joe Simperman. Are there any other elected officials in this room that I have not yet celebrated? Because I want everyone in this room to give you a round of applause. Don't be shy. It's okay if no. Okay, great. Moving on. So let's hear it from one of our strongest elected leaders for equality at the federal level, Senator Sherrod Brown.
I'm Sherrod Brown. It's a great privilege to represent you in the United States Senate. Because of the work of passionate leaders and advocates like Equality Ohio, we've made tremendous progress in the last 14 years in our fight for equality. Many of you know my wife, Connie, how outspoken she is. We met 20 years ago this year, and 6 months into our dating, she said, "I didn't tell you something." I said, "What's that?" She said, "Before we started going out, I looked up your voting record to see how you voted on abortion and on marriage equality." And she likes to say that she was 45, I was 50, that why waste your time on somebody if you don't know if they really have the right values? So that story lives with me still today. We know our work's not yet finished. We're still living in the long shadow of decades of discrimination. I'll continue to fight for your rights to live your own lives, to love, to grow, to start a family, to do it all with dignity, free from discrimination. 2017, when the last president refused to issue a Pride Month proclamation. Think of that, refused to issue a Pride Month proclamation. I was proud to work with Ohio advocates to lead the first ever Senate resolution recognizing June as LGBTQ Pride Month. I've been the lead sponsor of it every year since. I'm working to pass the Equality Act to ensure that all Americans, no matter their identity, no matter whom they love, that all Americans have federal protections against discrimination. The Obergefell decision, as you know, Jim lives in Ohio and is a friend of mine and a friend of many of yours. That case was decided by Judge Black and Judge Timothy Black in Cincinnati Federal Court. And Timothy Black was my first, when I came to the Senate and Barack Obama got elected, my first recommendation to President Obama. I mean, I'm not taking credit for his decision, although I like it. I am taking credit in help getting him to the bench, and President Obama made that decision and we got him confirmed. Progress is never easy. We will not stop fighting until all Ohioans are given the support, the respect, and the equal rights they deserve. You care about equal rights in women's rights, in gay rights, and worker rights, and how all those are woven together to what makes this country a great place, because we all together fight for all of these rights. So thank you so much.
So I get the pleasure and sometimes the curse of working with our state lawmakers every single day from both sides of the aisle. That's the thing about this work. It's truly bipartisan because we know that LGBTQ equality is a human right issue, not a partisan issue. Let's listen to just some of the good bills that bipartisan lawmakers are advancing right now.
Hi, I'm Nikki Antonio, Minority Leader and State Senator for District 23.
Brett Hillier, and I'm a state representative from Tuscarawas County. I represent the 51st District.
I am State Representative Michael Skindo, and I proudly represent Ohio's 13th House District.
I'm Mary Lightbody, representing House District 4.
I'm Representative Sarah Carruthers, representing Butler County and the 47th District.
Hi everyone, I'm Ohio State Senator Kent Smith. I represent the 21st District.
In June of this year, we reintroduced the Ohio Fairness Act.
This year, I am once again sponsoring the Ohio Fairness Act in the Ohio General Assembly.
I support the Ohio Fairness Act because I believe at the end of the day, nobody should lose a job or a home because of who they love and who they support.
We have a diverse LGBTQ plus community in Ohio, and it is clear our laws must be updated to better reflect our ever-changing state.
It has been over 50 years since we updated the Civil Rights Act in the state of Ohio, and for the estimated almost 500,000 LGBTQ Ohioans, fairness is long overdue.
I'm sponsoring House Bill 220, which would protect children by prohibiting healthcare professionals from engaging in conversion therapy, which has no medical basis when treating minor patients. This legislation affirms the right of young people to develop their own gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation.
This General Assembly, I'm planning on introducing legislation that will decriminalize HIV. People living with HIV should not be punished because they have a virus. We now have groundbreaking medicines that can help those live with HIV longer and the virus almost non-existent.
I've introduced Senate Bill 160, which would create an Equality Ohio license plate, which can be used as a fundraising tool for your organization and also raise awareness across the state. And if Senate Bill 160 becomes law, I'll get an Equality Ohio license plate that says Senate.
We would be nowhere without our fearless leader, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Elena Jochum.
How's everybody doing? All right. Please keep getting food. Please keep getting beverages as we proceed with tonight's program. My name is Elena or Alana Jochum. My pronouns are she, ella, and I came to this organization nearly 10 years ago now. Although it feels like yesterday, a lot has happened in that time. Think back with me. 10 years ago, our beloved Cleveland and Akron were preparing for the gay games. Who here was here at that time? That's right. Who remembers it? You don't have to be good, you don't have to be gay, you just have to be 18. Our theme for a year. Marriage equality didn't exist, and only a dozen cities in Ohio had local non-discrimination protections for LGBTQ people. Cleveland specifically had a terrible carve-out in its code prohibiting transgender people from accessing restroom spaces. And at that time, Equality Ohio had only about 6 people on staff, and I was the first person hired to give us a Cleveland organizing presence. Fast forward to now. Today, 35 localities in Ohio have fully inclusive non-discrimination protections, giving 30% of Ohioans access to a legal remedy. That is 21 cities in one county our field team added. Yeah. Everyone can marry the person they love and divorce them with the assistance of our LGBTQ legal clinic, one of only 2 in the country. Today, Equality Ohio has a statewide presence from Cleveland to Cincinnati, and there are 19 incredible people who are part of our team. 10 years ago, we didn't think any of this was possible, but we did it. And yet here we are in 2023, facing some of the most difficult and disturbing assaults to take away LGBTQ rights we have ever seen. 740 anti-LGBTQ bills have been introduced in at least 47 states to date. 21 states have banned best practice medical care for transgender young people. 23 states have banned transgender youth from participating in sports based on their gender identity. 9 states have put in place restrictions on transgender students just accessing restroom spaces. And to put this all in the context of Ohio, all of these types and more of bills have been introduced into our state. HB 68, which bans gender-affirming care and sports, passed the House and is sitting in the Ohio Senate right now. And just yesterday, Maria was at the State House all day fighting a bathroom bill that would ban transgender students K through college from accessing restroom spaces. Some fights are even happening at the local level right now. Jen Scott, our field manager, would be here tonight, but she's building a campaign with local folks on the ground in Bellefontaine, Ohio. They're fighting a local ballot that would ban drag queens and censor identity, one of the first we've ever seen in the nation. Ron Clemens, she sends her love and congratulations to you. It feels like every day there's a new crisis that we are fighting. But it's in these difficult moments that I pause to collectively remember where we've come from and that we stand on the shoulders of giants. So many of you who I've talked to in this room never believed marriage equality would come to Ohio in your lifetime. And then it did. It took 3 long years in Cleveland to correct our code to protect transgender people, but we did it. Our Cleveland campaign shaped the movement's nationwide fight against so-called bathroom bills for years, right here in our city. When our staff saw LGBTQ people struggling to access basic aspects of our legal system, we built a legal clinic from scratch. And by we, I mean you, Maya Simic, you visionary lawyer who believes anything is possible. These achievements, they didn't just happen. They happened because we collectively made them happen. We did it because we came together as a community to meet the needs of our community. This is a very scary time, I know. And yet here we are together, metaphorically arm in arm, here in this room, collectively saying, no more. You have made hundreds of phone calls and sent literally thousands of emails to lawmakers and school board members, to Congress and our governor, demanding we protect our transgender youth. You have shown up for hearing after hearing against these terrible bills, sharing your stories and refusing to accept lawmakers' lies. What do we have to show for it? To date, not one of these bills has passed. Not one. You are collectively speaking truth to power, and Equality Ohio is here with you every step of the way. Let's take a look at just some of what we've done together as we meet their fear with our righteous love, truth, and resistance.
Gender-affirming care, that term is actually a deceptive lie to prey upon unsuspecting people.
Penis and testicles of a 15-year-old boy.
The only thing that makes sense for what's going on in this country is that demons are influencing people, allowing their bodies to be possessed to run satanic agendas.
The breasts of a 15-year-old girl.
People that are possessed by demons don't get to make demonic agendas and demonic doctrines that affect our people and our children.
I started to do a PowerPoint timeline of all the things that we went through, my risk assessment, my deliberations. I started to think about it. And then I realized it's none of your business.
There's an undertone to all of this, the interest in my kids' genitals, the continued referencing to genitals, libido, sexual functioning, sexual pleasure, mating, that as a father, I have to say seriously creeps me out.
Today, I do not represent my 65,000 constituents. I represent one, my transgender son.
I'm a patriot to the core of my being. I'm a person of faith, and I've been blessed by God with the joyous task of parenting and protecting a wonderful trans child, which is just more proof that God does not make mistakes.
I am a full person who happens to be trans.
I am not a victim. I am not possessed by demons. My child is not a victim. I do not want and I do not need the government to hold my hand, pat me on the head, and tell me that it will take care of me.
The people wanting to ban gender-affirming care have no idea what it is like to be transgender or to have a transgender child.
My daughter is a girl. She knows she's a girl the same way my son knows he's left-handed. She's become one of many casualties in a culture war that she did not ask for or wants.
I was a trans student in Ohio. I've known I'm trans for as long as I can remember, even before I knew there were other people like me. Nothing and no one pushed me to feel this way. I was simply born this way.
I had neither the language nor the social support to do anything about gender dysphoria that crippled my life.
Watching my friend leave school and cross a busy intersection every day to use the restroom didn't make me think that being trans was trendy. It made me afraid.
There's also no area of medicine where politicians banning medicine results in higher quality care or better patient outcomes.
This bill is about the constant torment our state legislators is putting trans kids like me under for the mere political support it gives from your party.
See it for what it is. an attempt to take rights away from people like me.
How many more young people and families are we willing to sacrifice to score a few political points?
I'm here today for all the trans kids in Ohio who can't be here to speak up for themselves or are afraid, like I was.
I did indeed come here with all these opinions because this is my life experience, and then it's 10 years of my life after that experience organizing and counseling these people.
I could beg for you to not take away the one thing in my life that has given me purpose, but I won't.
And I'll be waiting for an apology for being spoken to that way outside.
Pretty great video. I am the mother of a beautiful 29-year-old trans daughter. She is exquisite, she is beautiful, she is also autistic, and these attacks within our state have been incredibly negatively impactful on her life over these past few years. Prior to sharing the board chair with Joseph Wenger, I do so like my Joes. I had Joe Matuszewski by my side. When this began, yes, you can woo him all you want because he deserves it. And when things got really, really tough, he would call me and he would say, we're gonna keep fighting and she is going to be okay and we are going to make sure that all of our trans children are okay. And that is why it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you my dear friend and former board co-chair, Joe Matuszewski.
Yeah, that's fair, right? All right, so after that introduction, I'm Joe Matuszewski. I'm a partner at EY, a proud sponsor of tonight's event. And more importantly, earlier this year, I completed my 6-year term on the board with Equality Ohio, 3 of those as co-chair with Amanda. You know, it wouldn't be possible for me to stand up here and convey to all of you this evening all that I learned and experienced and observed, the good and the bad, the hurt and the wins. And just like Elena can recount her decade plus at EO, I too think of the times when I first got involved in this organization. When myself and several of my neighbors thought, could Medina, Ohio ever become one of those cities to pass fully inclusive non-discrimination protections? And they did in 2019, thanks in large part to the work of Equality Ohio. You know, one of the core values of Equality Ohio that we talk about so often is the concept of both lived and legal equality. Now, changing laws and policies is really important for all of us. Thank you to those of you in the room that do that. But that alone does not achieve our vision of true lived equality. For this, we must change hearts, minds, and behaviors. And how we advocate is therefore as equally as important as the change we are seeking. To me, the video you all just watched epitomizes both that way we seek change and the very change itself. Because how could you listen to those stories, particularly the stories of the youth in Ohio, and not change hearts and minds? And we see it all the time. It's happening, sometimes in public with the passage of a bill or the defeat of a bad bill, sometimes behind closed doors for bills we never get to see take a vote. Now, what you don't see in that video is all the work that goes on behind the scenes to make that happen. I was privileged to be able to see that video a couple days ago, mostly because Elena knew I wouldn't be composing myself up here had I seen it for the first time. But after that video, I asked Elena, tell me a little bit about what it took to make those days happen. So Elena told me about the 300 plus pieces of written testimony that have been submitted to EO just in the past year alone, and the time it took to read and review. She talked about all of the individual preparation sessions to help people write that testimony, to meet with legislators, to speak to the media. She reminded me of the constant vigilance that her team has against the dozen plus bad bills against our community advancing through the State House every day. And she reminded me of all the work that goes in and the benefits from convening with the over a dozen other organizations fighting this fight with us all the time, like ACLU, the Human Rights Campaign, Trans Ohio, and so many more to mention. And I'm reminded about Medina. The 2-year process was probably only 3 or 4 city council meetings. But we called on Elena's team to come down to Medina, a city that many of you think is a flight away from here, at least 30 times, 40 times. I work in professional services. I know the single largest cost this organization faces is time of the people. So that's why tonight I hope you will join me in my ambitious goal of raising $20,000 to help Equality Ohio continue all of the work that they're doing. Now, before we get started, I'd just like to remind you all that any gift of any amount can be directed to Equality Ohio's 501c3 fund. You can take that to your tax advisor. And I'd like to get us started off in a bold way, i.e., get me off the stage as fast as possible. Is there anyone in the audience that might be willing to just get us half of the way there with a one-time gift to Equality Ohio of $10,000? I'm sorry, what? What? Wow. My Venmo is at Joe. No. All right, well, this might be a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. So the next ask I have, because I'm not going to try my luck at pulling that off twice in one night, is to tell you all about the Obergefell and Arthur Society, Equality Ohio's major giving society, for an annual gift of $2,500, which can be paid monthly or, quite frankly, daily if you prefer. You, in addition to knowing how much benefit you're providing to advancing the work of this organization, you will also have good access to Elena and her team for real-time events and updates of all the work happening across the state, as well as invitations to special events across Ohio, often attended by none other than Mr. Jim Obergefell himself, after which the society is named. Again, that's $2,500, and I'm thinking if I could get 2 new members to the O&A Society, we'll close that gap by another 50%. So I'll pause and sit in awkward silence and ask, do I have one? Old, new, that's fine, absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. Two, we got number 2, thank you very much. Number 3. Guys, one more and I sit down. Chad, number 4, thank you very much. Was this 6? Was this 6? Is there someone clapping? I think I saw another hand. Did I see another hand? Oh, number 6. Thank you very much. No, I was just kidding. I'm not really sitting down if we hit that number already. But wait, there's more. Equality Ohio is also very happy to set you up tonight with an easy monthly recurring gift. Set it and forget it. Now, an amount of only $100 over the course of the year is another $1,200 towards the great work of the organization. And I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand for the round of applause unless you'd like to do that now. Yes, but if so, please raise your hand. There's also these cards. The EO staff will come across to you right now and get that signed up. A gift of any amount, whatever is meaningful to you and what you can give, makes such an impact on the work we do tonight. Now, my remarks said, we'll tally the results and we'll see how close we got. But I think that's also why you hired a CPA to do this tonight. I know we crossed the $20,000 mark. I just want to thank you all. From the bottom of my heart, son of a bitch. Just thank you. Thank you for everything. Elena, Jesus Christ. You want to get my remarks out of the way?
It's fine. I can't thank you enough, everybody. This is your team on the ground. We're your eyes and ears in the State House, and we are so lucky to have this power in this room to meet this moment so powerfully. So if I could have Sarah join me on stage. It is now time to be recognizing our awardees, and this is why we are all here tonight. As we announce our allies and advocates, if you're here in the room, we're hoping you can please come to the stage when we talk through our portions so that we can have our wonderful photographer here tonight make sure that we get your photograph here up on stage. And I'll start the first one. We're going to start our tour around the Buckeye State in Northwest Ohio as we recognized Advocate Aaron Martin and Advocate Devin J. Adonis Morales. If you could come to the stage, please, while the videos play.
My name is Erin Martin. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a certified nurse midwife, public health professional, and sex educator. I am the founder and executive director of Solace Health and Wellness in Toledo, Ohio. Solace Health and Wellness itself is an organization that is intended to kind of address these healthcare disparities and these health service disparities for these medically vulnerable populations, which I do consider myself a member of the LGBTQ community as well. And I am very fond of saying, and anybody who works with me in the coalition will tell you this as well, but I always say nothing about us without us. So, to have a seat at the table and to kind of create a space for other people to have a seat at the table is extremely motivating.
My name is Devon J. Adonis Morales, and I work in the finance industry. I would, personally like to thank Equality Toledo for, seeing something in me and allowing me to grow through the organization. I'd like to, thank the whole community because I had to run away to find the people to get the help and get the community behind me. I hope that nobody who knows me has to feel like they have to go anywhere. You can be exactly who you are, where you are. Being a trans man it's not for the, weak. So just to be out and about and living and allowing people to see that is, it's everything to me, it just is.
All right, we are heading now to Central Ohio. We are so proud to recognize ally Sam Shin and advocate Cam Ogden. Please join us on the stage.
My name is Sam Shin, and I am a programs consultant at Honesty for Ohio Education. I wanted to thank Equality Ohio for presenting me with this award. It is a real honor, and really this award isn't just to me, but it's to all the wonderful people that I work with that helped make this happen. I especially want to thank, in addition to Equality Ohio, Honesty for Ohio Education, and Parasol Patrol for all the work they do. This work is important to me because I have two children who are both transgender. As a Korean American growing up, I experienced racism and I experienced just hate being targeted at me. And I want to do everything I can to protect my children and to protect other kids like my own from being targeted. I want to make sure all children are treated with dignity and respect.
My name is Cam Ogden, and I'm a trans rights advocate. And I'd like to thank all of the parents that have showed up to all the same committee hearings that I've showed up to advocate on behalf of their kids. I especially want to thank the kids who have been brave enough to show up or to, tell their story in other ways if they weren't comfortable showing up at the State House. And specifically to my parents, I'd like to thank them for coming around to support me and enabling me to do what I do, because I would not have been able to help any of the people that I've helped if it weren't for the fact that they helped me first. One of the largest things that I'm most proud of is working with Trans Allies of Ohio to set up a safer environment in the State House for trans and LGBTQ Ohioans. It is very fulfilling to help people in my home. Ohio is absolutely my home, and I would rather work harder to make this a safer place than have to leave.
And that beautiful video that you saw tonight was Cam's handiwork.
All right, as we continue to work our way around the great state of Ohio, we head down to southwestern Ohio, where we are proudly honoring Advocate Ron Clemens and the sports team, the Cincinnati Cyclones, as our ally. Come on up here, Ron.
Professionally, I guess I go by Ron A. Clemens. And I am a retired social worker. Came out of the clear blue sky, was not expecting that at all, to get that phone call on a Friday afternoon. And, and I feel kind of honored. I'm going to be turning 70 in a couple months. And, I'm at a point in my life where I want to be able to celebrate these gifts. I'm going to be 70 years old. I'm Black and I'm gay, so as far as I'm concerned, that's the trifecta. People that I know who didn't reach the age of 50 or 60, here I am at 70 years old, and we talk about people not being able to sit in the shade of the trees that they planted. Well, I'm lucky enough to be able to sit in that shade of trees that I helped plant.
If you can work, you can work.
If you can manage, you can manage.
If you can train, you can train.
If you can coach, you can coach. If you can play, you can play.
If you can play, you can play.
You can play, you can play.
And last, but certainly not least, we land right here in northeastern Ohio to celebrate our hometown heroes, ally Kevin Clayton and advocate John Corlett. Please come to the stage.
Kevin Clayton. I am Senior Vice President of Social Impact and Equity for the Rock Entertainment Group. My oldest daughter is gay. My oldest daughter is married and has an amazing female partner, and that is gay as well. And I was really passionate around supporting the community because I have seen the downside through my daughter's eyes of what lack of support looks like. If we can wrap our arms of support of that community and give them the confidence of knowing that, hey, when we do business with the Cavs, the Monsters, the Legion, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, or the Charge, that we're gonna always be welcome, as well as it's a safe haven from an employment standpoint and from a vendor standpoint, because we have programs that reach into the community from a vendor standpoint. The joy that I absolutely get is being able to give and without any expectation of receiving anything.
My name is John Corlett, and I'm the President and Executive Director of the Center for Community Solutions. I'm honored to receive this award from Equality Ohio. when I started in this work and started on this journey, we didn't have a group like that. We didn't have a statewide LGBTQ plus group. I worked at the Centers for Families and Children. I led the sort of citizen lobbying effort to secure first-time funding, state funding for the HIV drug assistance program. It was when the new drugs were just becoming available. The Ryan White Act had just passed. And so it was important that the state contributed money to that fund, and they did, millions of dollars, since. I think my mother really lit a spark in me, that notion that we're, those of us who have privilege and power are required to share that with others and to advance the cause of, everyone, the broader community.
So proud of our folks. We also have one very special advocate award tonight for Northeast Ohio, and that award is for Daphne Miller. Daphne was a cherished advocate up here who left the earth far too soon and unexpectedly. She leaves behind a legacy of work to make Lake County more welcoming for LGBTQ+ people. Please watch as her widow, Betty Jacobs, accepts on her behalf. Betty, could you join us on stage?
My name is Betty Jacobs, and I'm the founder and executive director of LGBTQ+ Allies Lake County. It makes a huge difference for me. I know it would have made a huge difference for her. So I just want to thank all of Equality Ohio and the community that surrounds you all. Thank you so much. We had a semi-automatic weapon shot outside of our house in 2020 at 2 o'clock in the morning. And we didn't know what would happen after that. And so many people said, you have to stop. You can't keep going. Somebody's going to get hurt. And I wasn't sure, whether we should keep going. We have children, and now people were at our house trying to hurt us. And she looked at me and she said, Betty, if not us, who? And if not now, when? So my hope is that Daphne's legacy and her empathy and compassion and drive for this organization lives on long past me and hopefully continues to grow in Lake County.
So proud of all of you. Thank you so much for all you give to our community every day. It is now my pleasure to invite Maya Simic, our legal director, to the stage to tell us a little bit more about the Equality Ohio Legal Clinic and to present our legal awards.
Whew, are y'all breathing after that? Yeah, thank you so much for being here to celebrate the wonderful work in our community. My name is Maya Simic. I use she, her pronouns, and I have the privilege and honor of being the legal director at Equality Ohio. In 2019, we were able to open our doors for our legal clinic, and we've been going strong ever since. We have grown to a staff of over 7, and we're currently serving folks across the state with offices out of Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus. To this day, as you heard from Elena, we remain one of the only LGBTQ legal clinics in the entire nation, and one of the only ones that serves the entire state. Since the time we have opened our doors in 2019, we have served over 2,500 community members in a variety of legal services ranging from divorce and custody to name and gender marker corrections. We are lucky today to have 4 of the individuals who are actually part of our legal team here with us today. Can you raise your hand if you're in the legal clinic? So, I see a Kate Mosinski, I see a Justin Joseph, I see a Becky Sullivan, and I see a Leanne Masucci. Please go, introduce yourself, shake their hands, and see some of the folks that are working diligently and hard behind the scenes to serve our community to get access to lived and legal equality. Not only are they doing direct representation, my wonderful and amazing and brilliant colleagues are also doing things such as working to modernize the HIV laws that are criminalizing members of our community, advocating for members of our community who are experiencing incarceration and being denied access to services, and assisting individuals who have experienced discrimination in employment and housing to find some way to have remedies. I would like to say, we can't do this work without you, and we really appreciate all that you have been doing to support and show up, to spread information, and to open your doors for us to provide information in the community far and wide. We can't serve everyone. We have legitimately had a wait list, and since we've opened our doors, people have been coming to us looking for services. And what that means for us is that we are also always looking for attorneys in the community who are willing to take pro bono cases, to provide an ear, or just to provide a friendly face in counties that are not so kind and friendly. And so it's our honor today to be able to show you some of the individuals who are actually providing some of those services and law firms that are standing up to provide pro bono assistance as well. But first, we want to show you a little bit of a video for what the attorneys look like in our legal clinic commercial. I just have to say some of those great accomplishments are things that are law-breaking pieces of work that are not being done anywhere else. And so for the paternity example, Kate Mosinski can tell you all about the work that went into that. And for standing for protection orders, when we have some folks behaving badly, Leanne can tell you all about the work she's done advocating to get protection orders for people and working in some cross-cutting family law cases. So please continue to reach out and see all the work they're doing. Now it is my distinguished honor and pleasure to recognize some of our inaugural legal firms and allies award. Could Mark Heron and Squire Patton Boggs please come forward and be recognized?
Hi, my name is Mark Heron. I'm a plaintiff side employment and civil rights attorney in Lyndhurst, Ohio, and I'm really honored to be honored tonight. Reached the agreement in principle with the college's attorney. I texted the client and said, "Get on Zoom now. Get on Zoom now." And he was on right away. He was probably nervous as heck because what was I going to say to him? And I said to him, "We got it. We got everything. We got the coverage removed. Your coverage is going to be paid for. You're going to be reimbursed what you've already paid for out of pocket." Broke down in tears. He absolutely broke down in tears. And that, fees are nice and, recognition is nice from, other groups and everything. But that was like the best beer or whatever I could get, just to see the joy that it brought to him. People should not be denied health care because of who they are or who they choose to love.
I'm Dan Barrett, a Cleveland-based partner at Squire Patton Boggs. We're extremely proud of this recognition for our work obtaining name and gender marker changes for the transgender community.
We do this really because we support the LGBTQ community. We have many members of our firm that are part of that community. And it's a passion of certainly mine and the firm to make sure we're doing everything to make sure that the LGBTQ community feels seen, heard, and represented.
We know that the trans community specifically is often let down by not only the systems designed to protect us, but also by attorneys. And so to be there and to sort of be this pillar of support and offer guidance is just a fantastic experience.
It's been very rewarding, I think, especially at the outset when I first meet with the client to talk about the process, and they're always very excited to, get this started. And then at the end, when we let them know that it's been completed, and to be part of that process has been very meaningful.
This community does not have a great experience with the court systems regularly. So it's really nice that we're able to kind of help bridge that gap. As a queer person myself, it's amazing to help out my community.
And just a personal point of pride, this is the firm I came from, and I am so proud that you were the inaugural firm that so clearly led the way in making this work happen for our community. Thank you. All right, folks, we're almost at the very end here, but not before I welcome Siobhan Boyd Nelson to the stage, our beloved Deputy Director.
Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight? This is a beautiful room. It's so happy to be with everyone this evening. My name is Siobhan Boyd Nelson. I have the privilege of serving Equality Ohio as Deputy Director, and I use she, her pronouns. I know you're much more used to seeing me be a bigger part of the show. I'm technically not working right now and taking a couple of weeks of rest, but I just couldn't stay away from this place and thought I would come in and give you a little bit of a surprise and be part of how we're ending the show this evening. And I could not be more excited about our special guest that is here with us tonight. Charlotte Clymer, will you please join me on the stage? We are truly, thank you. We are truly honored tonight to end our program with our very special guest, Charlotte Clymer. Charlotte is a writer, a communications consultant, trans activist, and military veteran. She writes Charlotte's Web Thoughts, a popular Substack newsletter about politics, religion, and culture. Her past roles include press secretary for Rapid Response at the Human Rights Campaign and the director of communications and strategy at Catholics for Choice. She has been the recipient of numerous awards, and her political and social commentary have been quoted by the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Guardian, and so many other outlets. Please join me in welcoming Charlotte Clymer.
Too damn tall. How's everyone doing tonight? I teared up a couple times, I will admit. Folks, I'm Charlotte Clymer, my pronouns are she, her, and I am very proud to be a trans woman. Incredibly proud, extremely proud, as I should be. When Equality Ohio invited me here to speak, I said, oh, yes, immediately. Like, I'll do whatever you want. Like, well, we haven't told you what you're gonna do. Like, no, I don't care. I'm still gonna come. And there's a reason for that. Many years from now, the kids who are not yet born are going to ask us what it was like to live through this era in our history, what it was like to live through this moment. And I don't want to speak for y'all, but I know exactly what I'm going to tell them. I already know. I'm going to say that there were moments when things were scary. There were moments when things were uncertain. There were moments when we weren't sure what we were going to do the next day. But at the end of it, we remembered who we are. Because that is the only way we've ever gotten by as a movement, is remembering who we are. Every time, without fail. I am not here to give y'all advice. I'm not. I am not about to come into a state where I don't live and tell folks what they should be doing, because quite frankly, y'all are getting it done. Equality Ohio and everyone here in the community and all our allies, forces that are cynical, depraved, hateful, and desperate. That's what this movement is that we're fighting against. It is a desperate movement. It is a desperate movement that attacks children. It is a desperate movement that takes Christ's teachings of love and inclusion and warmth and weaponizes them into something awful and unmistakably inhumane. It is a desperate movement that has no ideas, no vision, no path forward except to hate. And folks, we reject that every time. Now, I really want to be clear about this because this is the one thing that I really want to get across tonight, above all. Ohio is a front line in this war, and I'm sure y'all know that. But I wish I could tell you how much you are admired outside of this state and across the country. We are in awe of you, all of us. Those of us in Texas and DC and Florida and California, all across the country, we are in awe of the advocates and allies here in Ohio. I know that y'all have to live in this 24/7, and it can become overwhelming in its somberness, and I would say just unmitigated hatred. But we look at y'all as rock stars, as superheroes, because you're fighting against a movement that is relentless, and the front line is right here in this state on a daily basis. They're terrified. The GOP is terrified. Anti-LGBTQ extremists are terrified of us remembering who we are. And I want to remind y'all of who we are. You know, we are the movement of Jim Obergefell, who was told that his marriage could not be recognized, and he said, "Oh, we'll see about that." And then he went and got it done. We're in the movement of Senator Nikki Antonio, became the first openly LGBTQ minority leader in the Ohio legislature. I mean, that is just an incredible achievement, hands down. We're the movement of Senator Tammy Baldwin. We're in the movement of Senator LaFonza Butler, who became this week not just the first black lesbian, but the first black openly LGBTQ person to serve in the U.S. Senate. And that does deserve a round of applause. We are the movement of Marsha P. Johnson and Silva Rivera and Harvey Milk. We are the movement of Representative Maury Turner, first non-binary black Muslim elected to state legislature in Oklahoma. We're the movement of Danica Rome, the first openly trans person elected to any state legislature ever. We're the movement of Sarah McBride, who I guarantee you will become the first openly trans person elected to Congress next year. Guarantee it. We're the movement of the social worker who's going to wake up in Cleveland tomorrow and figure out how to get yet another unhoused LGBTQ youth a bed to sleep in that night. That's who we are, and they're terrified of that. All we have to do is refuse to give them what they want. What they want is for us to quit. Again, they have no ideas, they have no vision, they have nothing, except if they can make us quit. That is the only way they can win. And the way that we're going to win is by not giving up and telling them to their face again and again that love is the most powerful thing in this universe, and that is what we're going to center every single day moving forward. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
So we have the opportunity to ask Charlotte a few questions, and so we're going to go briefly into our Q&A. All right, Charlotte. Oh, there, sorry about that. There we go. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I love your pants, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. They were for the Janelle Monáe concert. Yeah,
I went to it in DC.
Yeah, and I went here in Columbus.
My favorite non-binary vocalist, Janelle
Always,
Monáe.
of all time, yes. So, Charlotte, you have lent your voice to so many spaces, and you say things that get the extremists a little bit upset. And this year in particular, you said something. You were on Readout with Joy Reid.
That's right.
And it was after the Nashville shooting. And you said, I am created in her image. I am created in God's image. I was created in her image. And I've noticed that you identify very strongly with your Texas roots, with your military roots, with the fact that you say, I go to church every Sunday, right? And there are a lot of folks in our community who no longer identify with those types of roots, right? Who have said, I don't actually want to go to church. I felt pain in those spaces. What do you say to those folks as someone who's, those, I guess, traditional markers of identity, and you're someone who finds them to be very important in your life? What do you say to members of our community who have said, I found pain in those spaces and I don't want to be associated with them?
I don't say a damn thing to them. It's not my place. As Christians, as military veterans, as folks from more conservative environments, it is not our place to tell people how to deal with the pain they've experienced in those communities. It's just not. As a Christian, I see my commission in this lifetime as living out Christ's teachings as best as I can. It is not my place to tell someone who has been hurt in a church that, oh, well, just give it another try. No, I think that the way you go about exemplifying the example of Christ is by acting rather than speaking. Every time. That's where it comes down to. And I don't want to turn this into a church service or a sermon. That's not what this should be about. But there is more than enough room for everyone in this movement. More than enough. And as long as we have each other's backs, as long as we are advocating for a complete separation of church and state, as long as we are ensuring that everyone, regardless of their religious affiliation or their relationship with the military or what have you, as long as they feel welcome in our spaces, that's what is important, and that's what I want.
You have this blog, Charlotte's Web Thoughts. Love the name of that Substack. And you're educating. Let's get down to it. You're really educating the community, the world at large, about what it means to be a member of this community, what it means to be trans. And at Equality Ohio, we know that so much of the work we do is education. And we know that when we're having these conversations with folks, a lot of times there's just an education or a knowledge gap there. But it can be repetitive. Do you find yourself feeling like you're saying the same things over and over and over again? And how do you keep getting up to keep having those conversations over and over? Because we know this is the work.
Absolutely. I do it because, quite frankly, there are millions of LGBTQ folks in this country who do it without fanfare, who go into spaces where they are not welcome, or they're harassed, or they are assaulted, or just pushed out to the margins, and they do the work regardless because it needs to be done. I would not be here were it not for someone like Danica Rome, were it not for someone like Marsha P. Johnson, were it not for someone like Harvey Milk. All of our elders who came before, all of our modern heroes who are creating spaces for everybody, they made it possible for me and everyone else who is in this community to be here, and so I have an obligation to make sure that I keep it going. That's really all there is to it.
And finally, I want to ask you a question about joy. This year, we've been doing a lot of work to focus on trans joy. I want to give credit for that to our wonderful staff who said, hey, this is what our community needs. We need to focus on trans joy. So would you share with us, in the midst of everything that has happened in 2023 and what we see happening on the horizon, what is the source of your joy?
I get dozens of emails from the parents of trans children every week. Some of them are rather dark. Some of them are talking about, and I don't want to get emotional here, but some of them will talk about how their child isn't getting the resources they need. They're experiencing suicidal ideation or harassment in their schools, or a state legislature who is awful and incredibly violent in rhetoric will be on TV telling them that they're demonic. And I also get emails from parents who tell me, I didn't really know anything about this, but I took the time to learn more about it. I educated myself. I read this book by this trans person or talked to this trans person in my community. I decided to be uncomfortable and vulnerable and do the work that was necessary to keep my child safe. And I got to tell you, there is nothing more that gives me joy than letters like that or emails like that from parents of trans kids who feel so lonely right now, who feel so isolated, but they're still putting their kids first, regardless. Those are the people I'm going to remember 20 years from now when we've passed the Equality Act, when it's not a rare thing to see a trans person in elected office, when we have our first transgender president. All these things. That's who I'm going to remember, are the folks who did the work when it was hard, who did the work long before there was fanfare or celebration or what have you. Those are my heroes. That's what gives me joy.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you. Thank you for being one of our heroes. Thank you for all of your work that you're doing to bring more equality to all of us in this country.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's it, folks. Just a few housekeeping notes. If you gave a donation tonight, thank you so much for that. We have t-shirts at this end. We would love for you to take a t-shirt home as a memento to thank you for your work tonight.
And a lot of us, when we think about giving, we think that that's not for us, or that's too much, or that's a higher threshold that you're not ready to meet. We have a program called Defenders of Equality. And essentially what we're asking is for average people to give an average amount. I was driving to my sister's today to drop off the baby, and I picked her up a coffee. For the $5 I spent at Dunkin' Donuts, you can be donating to Equality Ohio every month and making a tremendous difference. These $5 monthly donations have become a crescendo to the tune of $30,000 a year in less than a year. It is regular people making an enormous difference to change our world. You are all in this room because you care. You are all in this room because your identity has been protected by organizations like this, or you love people whose identity has been protected. And I encourage you today to find one of our dip jars, to find one of the QR codes, and become a donor.
And until then, drink, be well, and continue tonight's Allies and Advocates celebration.
Joy.
Thank you.
Joy. Lots of joy. Thank you, everybody.
Also, please make notes of Trans Joy in the back corner. We have Post-its. We have boards. Please tell us about your joy.